Welcome to the Biz Bash podcast, where we make biz strategy a piece of cake. I'm Elisabeth.
And I'm Cami, but you might know us better as Elisabeth and Calligraphy and Cami Monet. We want to help you, our fellow stationers, artists, and calligraphers, confidently build a profitable and personality-driven creative biz.
We're here to share our honest-to-goodness advice and actionable strategies for ambitious artists.
So put on your party hat, quit being a procrastinator gator, and let's get this party started.
Hey everyone, it is Cami and Elisabeth back for another Biz Bash podcast episode of Q and Cake. It's our 15th one. We have made it to number 15 and we pulled another 5 questions from you guys to answer today. And we're excited to talk all of these over. And BT Dubs, we're still recording this in the middle of like all the COVID craziness. So if Cami and I are a little like slap happy and goofy, or we have some major brain farts, please forgive us.
We're never like that. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't even try to blame it on coronavirus because we're always insane.
I know, we're always insane and crazy, but we were just like talking about so much stuff like before we started recording this in terms of like Cami found this really interesting article in psychology, and Cami, I want you to share it because I just like want our audience to hear it because I feel like everyone needs to hear it.
Okay, well, this is obviously condensed into Cami speak, so obviously it was much more eloquently stated, but it was basically like because none of us can plan for the future right now because we literally don't know what's going to happen, that part of our brain is just like meh, and like doesn't know how to handle things because you can't plan for like the next month because you don't know what the freak is going on. We don't know if businesses are going to open up or what's happening. So your brain like literally shuts that chunk of your brain down. So everything feels like way slower, like because you're missing that part of like your like neurological sequence. So like any kind of like high level organization, your brain like cannot like literally can't function. Like it just can't, you guys. Or like creativity, your creativity is going to feel really down because you're like putting all your effort to trying to figure out how to plan, even though you can't. So basically everyone's just going through a giant brain fart right now. Obviously, the way the psychologist explained it was a lot better, but that's just me paraphrasing.
Yeah, so basically if you're feeling like exhausted and weird, kind of like Cami and I are, then that's totally normal. Cami asked me a very simple question before we started recording about dates for something, and I'm pretty sure it like burnt my brain circuit. Like I was like, could not.
I broke her. I broke her.
Cami was like, I did not expect us to have this serious of a conversation. I was like, I didn't expect it either, but I can't like function. I can't plan for tomorrow, much less like 3 or 4 weeks from now. And so I feel like we're just like all in the same boat and yeah, just all getting through that. And hopefully, I mean, this episode, I think, is going to come out in like a few weeks from when we're recording it. So who even knows what things are going to look like at that point?
I know. Hopefully it's all different by then. Hopefully they're like, what are they even talking about? That's old news. Like, I hope that's what happens.
I know. I do look forward to the day, like a year from now, when all of this is old news or when we have a vaccine and people don't have to panic anymore. Like,
yeah,
I look forward to that a lot. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and ask the first question so we can get started here.
Yay!
This is from Diana T. And for some reason, I just put names in this episode and not Instagram handles. So I'm sorry about that. But it's Diana T submitted this and she said, hey ladies, thinking about starting a semi-custom stationery line for Etsy. How would you handle signing contracts if I were to do it this way? Thank you so much.
Well, I don't do invitations through Etsy, but I would imagine you would have to go offline into email, or by offline I mean off Etsy, and sending a contract via email because you can't send contracts via Etsy. Like there's no way that would work.
No,
I don't think.
Yeah, I think you would have to, if they were to like purchase from you, you would have to be like, okay, you'll be receiving a contract from this email address to sign. Yeah. So you can either use DocuSign, Dubsado, any other thing that's out there just for signing contracts, but you might not necessarily need Dubsado if you're doing semi-custom. It's up to you on how you like want to run everything. But
yeah, but I think you would have to take that to email. And Etsy does frown upon taking things off their messaging platform. So I am curious about how people who do invitations and that kind of stuff for Etsy, like how that works. Because I just don't, I mean, I don't personally know. We both have never done that. But if I was going to do that, I would move everything over to email and be like, okay, the purchase has happened. Everything else will happen over your email at this point.
Right. That would have been a great question. to ask for Jessica of Empress Stationery, because I know that she used to do a ton of stuff through Etsy, and that she eventually pulled all of it from there and doesn't have a presence on Etsy anymore at all, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go ask her directly, but I'm thinking that might be something cool to bring up with her during one of the Stationer Summit live sessions, because I know she's doing one, a Q&A. So maybe we can re-ask in there. So Diana, if you're part of that, then maybe you can hop on there and either watch the replay or follow up later and we'll have a better answer.
We'll work on that one.
We'll work on that.
So we didn't do that one that great, but that's okay.
Moving on.
I'll read the next one. So this is from Grace Langdon, and she says, how did you guys make the decision that offering an invitation service over a product service was for you? As a watercolor artist doing mostly nursery art, home, pet, and venue portraits, I never thought I would want to take the leap to invitations. I have created some for my personal use, such as baby's first birthday, baby showers, etc., and I've loved the design and printing process, but I'm scared to take the leap to offer invitations. I love listening every Tuesday and honestly don't think I would ever even taken the time to dabble in invitations if it wasn't for you guys. Oh, that's exciting.
Thank you, Grace. That was from Grace Langdon. Also, Cami, I was trying not to laugh because every time you say service, it sounds like surface to me.
Sorry, guys. I have a little bit of a list for that. It's true.
Do you really?
Yeah, I really do. I had like speech therapy as a kid.
Oh my gosh.
With my friend Kate.
Sorry.
I know.
I didn't mean to like pick on you, but when you were
I do not care. I sound like a crazy goose half the time I'm talking. So.
I literally heard like offering an invitation surface over a product surface. That was like what I heard when you read that.
I love it. Well, if you're thinking about offering some surfaces in your business. Services.
So funny.
Surface. Oh my gosh, they do sound the same.
They sound super similar, especially when you say them quickly. Like service, I don't think surface. It was. Yeah, I don't think it's only you. Surface. Yeah. Surface.
Oh my Lanta.
Anyways, back to answering Grace's question. I always kind of knew I wanted to do invitations ever since I did my own. So everything I did like leading up to that point was just to get to making invitations. So I feel like my answer is really boring because I didn't have this like big necessarily aha moment or anything like that. It was just always something I knew like really kind of lit a fire under me, and I was like really excited by it and wanted to pursue that and wanted to become better at it and make it part of my business. So I don't know, maybe if you keep putting off taking the leap to offer invitations, is it because you don't feel like it would be the best fit? Like, I think that might be the better question, because if you're really happy offering your watercolor art, like for the nursery, home, pet, venue, portraits, all of that stuff, you don't have to do invitations if you don't want to. But maybe Cami has more insight on this because Cami also obviously does a ton of watercolor art and portraits and all that.
Grace, you say you love the design and printing process. So I'm like, what is stopping you? Just do it. Like, it sounds like you've already done it and enjoyed the process. So it might be time to just like open it up to the public and, you know, work with a client one-on-one and see how that goes. Because maybe you haven't worked with a client yet and you don't understand that process, which it is a lot more in depth than, you know, just the portraits or custom paintings. It is a lot more. So I think you should do just one, see how you like it. Like maybe do it at a lower price point just to see, you know, kind of test, get your feet wet, and in the door to see if you like it. And then if not, you can just be like, okay, I tried it. I don't love it. And like, it sounds like you're doing some of like not weddings, like the birthdays, baby showers, wedding showers. Like, honestly, I feel like there's a huge market for just those types of invitations. They're a lot less high touch than wedding invitations and a lot less pressure. So maybe starting with those, offering those for your clients would be really good. And then for me, like, I started with invitations with my business too. Like, I had some products, but like, I knew I wanted to do invitations. And like, I guess for me, like, the money is so good with invitations. Like it's such a good market to be in with invitations. And it's like a really natural fit if you're able to offer custom designs and custom artwork, that it just goes so well hand in hand. And it was such a huge like part of my business growing, like being able to grow. Like, I don't think I could have sustained my business from like the first year with just the products that I had alone if I didn't have the invitations to like supplement that. And that was really helpful for me. So that's why I continue to do invitations, or at least starting out, because it was like the whole thing funding my business, you know? Now I'm kind of like scaling back on those a little bit, but I definitely think if you're like looking to expand your business, maybe look into some other ways to diversify your revenue, the invitations could be a really good fit. I mean, your artwork's so beautiful and you're already kind of working with clients like that anyway. So why not just test the waters and see? That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can also start dipping your toes too by creating artwork for other stationers. If you're really scared to go completely to completely dive into the field of wedding invitations, you can always start providing artwork first, making connections with some stationers, doing it that way. But I think not to get all like psychology or like therapist on you or anything.
I love when
think
you go
it's
therapist on Q and Cake.
Right. I think it's really important. I think we need to come up with like a funny name for me when I get like this.
Yes.
Well, we'll let you come up with something,
Okay.
Cami, but
oh, Dr. Liza.
Dr. Liza. I kind of love that. I think it's important to ask yourself, like, why you're scared. Is it because you don't want to have to deal with feedback from clients? Is it because you're afraid that that'll make you more vulnerable to feeling like insecure about your artwork if you were to get feedback that they wanted something changed? Because I think that's like a lot of our fears, is that when you work one-on-one with client stuff, especially in an invitation suite, because the process is so much longer, that one of our fears as creatives is just, how do I deal with that constructive criticism or criticism that I might receive from a client? Because that can be like very emotionally aggravating, I guess, or like tiresome, or like when Cami
just like the stress of it all. Yeah, Horsegate.
Yeah, Horsegate for Cami was like the absolute like worst, like the stress of dealing with clients. Like, is that the part that scares you, or is it the part like the logistics side of it, like with the contracts and the proofing and all of that? Because once you outline really what scares you, then you can break down like, okay, well, here's 3 ways I can tackle this element of my fear, or here's 3 ways I can tackle this other element of my fear. And then it becomes more constructive, instead of you just saying like, I'm scared to do this, without like really diving into why that is.
That was very excellent, Dr. Liza. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that therapy session. That was great. So yeah, we're going
to not a doctor.
We're going to need some follow-up details on this, Grace. So just tell us what you're afraid of. So okay, so next question. This one is from Jane F. And she says, how do you handle requests for samples? Do you have a set pre-made sample package that you send out to customers? And what do you include in it? Thank you.
Cami and I are probably not the best people to talk about this. We do have some insight because we know what other people do. But Cami and I don't really send out samples.
I mean, I send out some. So I don't like have like sample packs available on my website, or like send samples to leads really a ton. I mean, like typically I send paper samples to clients who have booked, but when we're trying to decide whatever paper they like better, like so they can see it and feel it in their hands to understand like what I'm offering. I don't really send like envelope colors. It's literally just being like, here's the 120 pound, here's the 240 pounds. If they're just unsure, or they just want to see what it feels like, because they don't know. So I'm only sending stuff to like that for actual clients. But for leads, I don't really send paper samples or anything. If I did, I have had like some mothers of the bride ask for, they want to feel the paper and they have this like very high expectation of what it's going to be. And like, I will send them some, and I usually charge like $20 or something for it. And then they can like take that off their quote if they decide to book with me. And then if I have like a really, really, really high-end client that I'm really trying to work with, like a lead or something, and like I have one right now that's going to be a really good client, and she was like, can you just send like 1 or 2 paper samples? And I'm just going to just send that, because honestly, it's like a super low cost way for me to like connect with them even more and get them excited. So I kind of do it on a case-by-case basis. No, right.
Yeah. But neither of us have like any sort of like pre-made sample package.
Right.
I feel like where that gets used most often, like a pre-made sample package, is for people who are offering collection suites.
Yes.
So I see people doing that quite a bit if they have like swatches of every envelope color that they're using in their collection, and they have like 3 types of paper they normally use and 3 types of printing methods. And it becomes really easy to put like little swatches or cards in the sample pack of like every single one of those, so your client can have something, or like to have extra prints of a certain collection type so that you can send an example of that to a client. But I think when you're doing completely custom, like high-end luxury stationery, the sample part comes kind of like what Cami said. Like if you booked somebody and they're like, I really want to understand the difference between this and this, then you can open up a conversation about that. But sadly, we don't have a lot of good like insight on the pre-made sample packages that would get sent out.
Yeah, I almost feel like your guide that you put together is almost like a sample package in itself, even though it's not like sweets, but to me it kind of like is along the same veins of something you would send out to customers that kind of just explains the process or like things you can get. Like, I don't know.
Oh, like my 2020 wedding guide.
Yeah, like I know that's not like exactly this is a sample of my work, but I do feel like it is like a little insight into your process and like the type of work you do. So I do feel like it's like a little bit of a sample package. But yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. Oh my gosh. I have like my brand new version of that Catherine created for me.
Oh,
I should have sent it. I know. I should have sent it to the 2 inquiries, like the 2 quotes I just sent out in the past week. And I totally forgot to send that as an attachment. So maybe I should follow up and, oh, gosh.
Yeah, you can use that in your follow up and just be like, oh, I also wanted to send over this wedding guide. Hope y'all are doing great.
Yes, exactly. XOXO. Okay, so hopefully maybe that gave you a little bit of insight, Jane, even
we
if
we are really botching these questions
answer specifically. I know we are not on a roll today. It's okay. I just like feel I slept really hard last night, which was great. But I also just couldn't get up because I was sleeping so hard. It was so wonderful.
It's great, but also the worst. Yeah.
And I had horrible dreams all night, Cami. I forgot to tell you this, that like Will and I were on this like cross-country camping trip. I think I'm getting a lot of weird like travel dreams right now because like we can't travel.
Yeah.
And like my family was there and stuff. And like my sister was supposed to be keeping an eye on Zuko and Azula with us because for some reason the cats were with us on this like across the country travel camping trip.
Oh my god.
And they like got out.
Oh, and, that's so
like,
stressful.
Oh, so then we like couldn't find them, specifically me, right? I'm the one that's like searching everywhere. And then there was like this whole other weird layer where there were other animals in the dream working for these like bad animals that were trying to catch like strays and make them part of their like weird like mafia. I don't even know. It got so weird so fast.
Oh my gosh.
I found a pink cheetah though, so that was cool.
You got a pink cheetah. What is happening? What is happening?
I found a pink cheetah, and the pink cheetah was going to help me track down Zuko and Azula because she was fast enough to run and catch them.
I don't even know what to say right now. This is amazing.
It was very, very vivid. Okay.
I hope that this is like the soundbite we use for this episode. It's going to be like, well, I had a pink cheetah. They're going to be like, what?
Oh, this is just like where my head is right now. Like, why am I having such a hard time? Answering a single question feels like the hardest thing I've ever done, ever.
It's rough. It's rough times.
Are we ready for the next one?
I think we're as ready as we're going to get. Like, I think this is it. This is max functioning capacity right now. So,
all right. So this is from Rebecca McMahon, and she said, I would love to know more about ordering paper samples from suppliers. I feel awkward emailing suppliers asking for samples from them. I don't want them to think I'm just asking for something free from their business. It would be great to know the best practice on this front so I can start my relationship with them off on the right foot.
Well, the best practice is to just do it. I feel like my answer on Q and Cake is always just do it.
Just do it.
But it's seriously, like
Shia LaBeouf.
I know, that's me. It's just picture me in the Shia LaBeouf gift being like, just do it. But seriously, like they are expecting you to ask for samples. Like that's what they want you to do so you can like look at their quality and see if you want to work with them. I ask for suppliers for samples all the time. Like I did that with my notepads. I asked for a bunch of samples. I asked for samples with foil, with this, like all kinds of things. Like that's totally like a normal thing. They don't think you're like trying to get something for free because like what are you gonna do with them anyway? Like start a fire with paper? I don't know. Like
I think if anything, like if you're nervous about like best practices, I think as long as you're expressing to them like, hey, I'm interested in using you for X, Y, and Z project or X, Y, and Z product in my business. Do you have samples you could share with me? I'd be really interested in seeing them is like the perfect way to phrase it. Because if anything, they should be like, you know, hopefully flattered that you're inquiring, especially for these like really big like production companies or printing houses, or even like some of the smaller printing houses or like a letterpress place like is going to be more than happy to send you samples of past work because they want to try to like book you, basically.
Yeah, and like 90% of the time, they already have samples available or like a sample place where you can request on their website to get a sample pack. Like they already have this. Like this is very common and very expected. So don't feel weird or awkward at all. Like they totally expect you to reach out for samples.
Yep. Agreed. And some people do charge for sample packs. Like certain envelope companies have sample packs, and wax seal companies who have their, like, I call it like my like Pantone guide or like swatch book of wax seals. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Some of them will be online and you'll have to pay for stuff like that. But honestly, it's well worth it because I love having that stuff in person.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Perfect. I think that's so funny, the irony of that, because we're like, no, we don't offer samples to anyone. But yes, you should expect the other companies to provide them.
It's so funny. I mean, no one really asked for samples from me. Like,
yeah, it's very different when it's like a client coming to you for like a high-end luxury service than it is when you're gonna, you're gonna try to.
We weren't saying don't offer samples. I just never really do. But yeah, that is amazing.
Oh gosh. Okay. Last question. Why don't you read it, Cami?
Okay. How would you handle a public negative review? For example, a poor review written on a Facebook page or on Etsy. What tips do you have for responding to the review? Also, do you have any advice for not taking the review too personally? This is from Steph S. Dr. Liza, can you weigh in?
Gosh, this is a tough one. I have seen some people handle some reviews online with like a lot of grace, like really bad reviews with a lot of grace. And I don't want to like put Kaylee on the spot, but Kaylee of Mulberry Market Designs, she used to do a ton of her like wood signs, acrylic signage, wedding day of signage through Etsy. And she would get some like reviews on there that would be like really negative and really bad. And most of the time that was a result from someone not reading the listing to like understand that it would take 3 to 4 weeks because it was custom. So basically what she would do, and I'm lucky that I haven't necessarily like been in this position before, but the way she kind of handled it was she would almost like publicly outline what the communication with the customer looked like. So she would be like, hey there, Miranda, on such and such date, you ordered this from me. Well, I think she would first of all be like, we apologize so much that your experience was negative. And then she would go into like, on such and such day, you ordered this from us. We do, as quoted in the listing, we do have a 3 to 4 week processing time. And we heard from you like a week in, like asking where it was. And, she would like tell the story.
Yeah.
So that like, I think that anyone else who read that would then see her response to understand like what happened here, or where was like the bad communication, or where was that person like misinformed. And I think I would be interested too, Steph, to hear from you, like, was this in reaction to a product or a reaction to a service? Because I think you also have to respond to those slightly differently as well, especially in terms of like what they were upset about. Because I think one of the things is that it's okay to take a good cry. If you're like, wow, this is really crappy, this hurts my feelings, I feel awful, I feel embarrassed. Like, first of all, just like cry that out and get that emotion out of the way before you even think about like responding to something that someone wrote. Because the second thing you have to think about is like, what did I learn from this? And like, what can I do better in the future? Because most of the time, a bad review results from unmet expectations. And that's a good learning lesson for how can I better serve my clients going forward? How can I make my process better going forward so that this never happens again?
Yeah.
And I never have to deal with something like this. Because as much as we sometimes want to, just pawn it off to like, oh, wow, that client was awful, that was a bad client. I think a lot of the people in the industry would say that there is, quote unquote, no bad client if you're managing their expectations well. And now everyone has certain opinions about that. Like, we already kind of jokingly laughed about Horsegate earlier this episode. And that was like something kind of like way over the top, where Cami did have to deal with something that was like extreme, I would say. Yeah. But I think more than anything, it's about taking it as that learning experience while also trying to save face publicly as best as possible.
Yeah.
I don't know, Cami, do you have like additional insight?
Yeah, I'm just thinking too, because sometimes Well, I don't think I've had like any bad reviews about the wedding invitation thing or anything like that on my Facebook. I mean, I had that one review that was like, don't like the artwork. And I'm like, who are you? I don't even know who you are. And left a 1 star. And I respond on there, been like, don't think we ever worked together, but thanks for your opinion. And people like really like that. Because I left this funny GIF with it. I don't know. I get sassy. But for like bad reviews, you got to kind of think, like if that review actually has like weight to it or merit, or you could have been like, or to yourself, you could be like, yeah, I did screw that up. I could have done better. Or if it's like one of those where it's just a client or customer who's like, you told them it's going to ship in a week and they're mad it didn't get there the next day. It's like, there's nothing you can do about that. Like you did everything you could, you outlined the expectations. And if you get someone like that, it's just like, okay. And then you respond like Elisabeth was talking about her friend, where you just outline the communication, outline what happened, and just be like as kind and gracious as possible. And be like, I'm sorry you didn't get the best experience in the future. I'd love to serve you better doing this, blah, 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 blah. But if it's something where it's like, yeah, I did drop the ball on that. I said it was going to be ready in 2 weeks and it actually took me 2 months kind of thing, where it's like, yeah, I did that. Like, I still think it's good to be honest too, and then reach out to them personally to be like, hey, how can I make this right? And like, make sure your experience with me was overall a good process, and that kind of thing. So I think it's kind of like you have to be honest with yourself. Like, is this review actually merited? And not just be mad because it's a bad review, but like take an introspective look in your business to see if that review could be something you could improve upon, or you truly did drop the ball, or if it's just some crazy customer on Etsy. Because I feel like people on Etsy like love leaving 1-star reviews. They also like to threaten you with 1-star reviews of like, you don't ship this, I'm going to leave you a 1-star review. And that's just messed up. Like, I haven't had that personally happen to me, but I see stories and stuff on that. And I'm just like, that is crazy. So, I mean, also, another thing to keep in mind is like one bad review is not going to be the end of your business, even though it feels like the absolute end of the world. Like, it's going to be okay. Most people just skip right over it unless it's like, this person is the worst person ever. Like, just like something super intense, which you probably didn't get. Like, so just like understand, okay, that person shared their opinion, respond back with as much grace, as much kindness as you possibly can, but just try not to take it to heart as much as it sucks. Like, it does weigh down on you. Like, any negative feedback or criticism, or like, I don't know, it weighs on me too, especially with like artwork stuff. So even if it's not a public review, if it's just a private email, like it weighs down on me.
Yeah.
So I totally understand, but you just have to realize like your business is not just built on this one person's opinion. You have one bad opinion doesn't outweigh the 100 of good ones that you get. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
It's tough though. Like, you have to have tough skin especially with like artwork stuff, because it is like, I always say it feels like I'm giving them a piece of my heart, and then they just stomp on it and you're like, but I made this. I made this for you, and I put all these hours into it, and now you don't like it? Like, that's how I get. It gets really sad. So I completely understand, but you just kind of gotta like take a deep breath and, I don't know, just like let it go as best as possible, even though it feels impossible.
Yeah, I kind of agree too that like the reviewers on Etsy can be like Yelp, when people get like really intense on Yelp and like leave horrible reviews of like restaurants and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I actually think that's part of the reason that Kaylee of Mulberry Market Designs left Etsy entirely, is like she didn't want to deal with that anymore. And especially people kind of like holding that over her head, right?
Yeah.
Of like, I'm going to give you a 1-star review, especially when Etsy recently put that policy in place about like the bad review ratio.
Yeah.
If you hit a certain amount of like bad reviews, it could give them permission to like shut your shop down. And she was like, it's too risky for her and her business, basically, because she was like, so many people don't read my listing, or they think because it's on Etsy, they'll get it in like 2 days, instead of like the 4 weeks that it takes me to create a custom sign for somebody. And she was like, I just can't risk it. And I think they moved everything to her website. And same with Jessica of Empress Stationery. Like, we mentioned her earlier. She used to have all of her collections and everything on Etsy too, and moved away from that platform entirely.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for review reasons, just for different personal reasons in their business and how they wanted to run things. But
yeah, it's just a different culture
interesting
over there.
Yeah.
It's like its own thing. It really is like, people can get really feisty. So I love I don't love, but that's a sarcastic love. When I get reviews that are like a 4-star and it's like, love the product, beautiful, then it's like 4 stars. I'm like, why did you just do the 5-star? Like did you just accidentally hit
why only 4 stars? It's never made any sense.
It'll be like the nicest reviews, like beautiful product, great packaging, got here super fast, 4 stars. I'm like, what could I have done to get the 5th star? Like, what do you want from me? Oh my gosh. Yeah, bad reviews suck. And of course, if they're written like a bad review that like you truly didn't work with someone, you can request Facebook to take it down too. I'm sure it's like a super tedious process. I'm sure it's not easy, but I think I did request for that one to be taken down because I didn't know who that person was. I'm going to go look at my page now.
Yeah, because I think if you can like basically say like, this person actually never hired me, that gives you grounds to take it down.
Yeah, but I think it's still up there. I don't know, my internet's being super slow. I don't know. It's somewhere in there, but
it's somewhere.
Somewhere. Oh, there it is. It says, sadly, I don't like the style she does. It's not for everyone. Doesn't recommend 1 star.
Does not recommend. It's
oh my gosh, she
intense.
responded. I said, hi, name. I don't believe we worked together, but thanks for your honesty. And then I did like a gif of Ace Ventura. And she said, you're welcome. I am dying. I never saw a response. I'm gonna. Wow. What in the world?
You should just say thank you or back to her, and then she could say you're welcome again, and then you could say thank you again. You should just keep going back and forth.
Got some new stuff out. What do you think of it now? I'm gonna go comment that. See you guys. Just have fun with it.
But like Cami said, this is a total stranger to someone she doesn't know. So I'm assuming whoever Steph had to deal with probably was a client. But like Cami said, like a bad review is not everything, and do not let it define your worth, and just let it strengthen you and make you better. And like I said, nothing wrong with taking a good cry. I take a good cry all the time. Yeah. Cami, do you remember when I like didn't think I would get those like welcome maps to the Rosemary Beach wedding I did on time?
Oh yeah. Yes.
I just like I scream cried, and that is not even an exaggeration.
Oh my God.
And Will had to like listen to me just like outrageously sobbing in our bedroom like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah, that was, I could tell, like we were on the phone and I was like, she's about to go freaking lose it like right now. We hung up and I was like, I'm scared for whatever happens next. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Oh my gosh. But yeah, sometimes you just gotta get that out. I don't think I've had any scream cries. Well, probably Horsegate. Horsegate probably had some. Who even knows?
You tend to be able to stay a little more emotionally composed than me.
Thank you, Dr. Liza.
Yes. I admire that trait in you.
Why, thank you. I'm very even-keeled. I'm just too excited.
Yeah.
Okay, I responded back to that girl, so let's see what she says.
Got some new stuff. What do you think now?
Workout. What do you think now? Oh, my gift didn't post with it. I gotta edit it. Anyway, you guys, we'll keep you updated on that breaking news because I think I'm hilarious, obviously.
Good times, good times. Well, that brings us to the end of that Q and Cake today. Sorry, guys. It was kind of a mess.
Sorry, this was a weird one. This is a weird vibes on this one.
Weird vibes. It's the least we could do.
Thanks for sticking with us through the good times and the bad. I mean, we're just real people over here, so...
Watch out, all the haters flood to give us, like, negative reviews on the podcast now.
Oh, well, they better not after you just said you scream cry when you get negative reviews. Or not negative reviews, just bad things, like, happen where you just need to scream cry.
No, that was, I can genuinely say I think that was, like, the last time in my business. And that was, like, fall of 2018
That's
that
good.
I, like, really lost it when, like, I felt like something went wrong. I've had moments of, like, feeling panicked or, like, oh, gosh, did I mess this up? But I've never, like, had a raging fit of tears.
A raging tantrum.
I was just telling her it's okay to cry.
Yeah.
You just gotta get that out.
Yeah, you do. You feel so much better. honestly.
It's amazing because as soon as I like cried for a while, I sat there and I was like, I know exactly what to do.
She was like, I'm driving to Florida. I was like, okay.
And I actually did not end up having to do that, thank God. But yes, it all worked out and it was fine. But it was a lot at the time. So, hey, if you guys like the podcast, even though today's episode was a total mess, please go to iTunes and leave us a rating and review, preferably a good one.
Yeah, you guys, like we mentioned before, you don't know how much your kind words really mean to us. Like, we really appreciate them. We really love it. So leave us a review if you're loving the podcast. It really does mean the world to us. We really appreciate that. And of course, if you have more questions for Q and Cake, you can submit those at bizbirthdaybash.com/Q and Cake.
All right. We love you guys. Talk to you next time.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Hey, Tammy May, I have a few questions for you if you don't mind.
Well, Elisabeth, you're always as lost as last year's Easter egg, so go ahead and ask them.
Thank you so much. All right. Let me look here. I wrote them down. What printer do you use in your home office? And what watercolor paper do you recommend for those beautiful paintings you make? Also, do you have a favorite brand of paint and a favorite paintbrush? Because I would just love to be able to use those to make something like you do. And lastly, I'd really like to know how the heck you scan in those artwork paintings to your computer and make them look so realistic. It just looks like they've been painted right on that screen.
Elisabeth, I tell you what, sometimes you are as useless as a steering wheel on a mule because you just got all kinds of questions. But you know what? Where you can find all of them answers, you just got to go to bizbirthdaybash.com/favorites. You know, Cami and Elisabeth, them real cute girls who talk about paper all the time, and they're just the cutest things I ever seen. Well, they put together an Amazon resource list so you can just shop it whenever you want. It's shoppable. You just click the links. It takes you right to the products they use. And who doesn't love Amazon with that 2-day shipping? It gets there lickety-split.
Oh my gosh, those two girls are just heavenly angels sent from the Lord themselves. I can't believe they would go out of their way to do something so nice for us. So, where is this again? Do I have to use the intranet to find this?
You got to get on the line. Okay, so you just got to get on the line and you just go to bizbirthdaybash.com/favorites. Once you go to that page, you're going to be grinning like a possum eating a sweet tater because it's got all the good stuff. We got printers, scanners, their label printer they use for shipping, Cami's favorite watercolor brushes, Elisabeth's favorite calligraphy paper. I mean, it is all right there. And let me tell you, that just dills my pickle. You know what I'm saying?
I can't believe this. All right, I gotta get a pen real quick. Can you tell me one more time what that link is so I can write it down right here?
My word. Elisabeth,
please tell me.
I'm going to tell you right now. I have been
one more time.
I will tell you if you just hush up, okay? All right. So you know I'm busier than a cat covering up crap on a marble floor. So just hold on. I'm getting right to it. Here is the link, y'all. Okay? Write this down. bizbirthdaybash.com/favorites. Go shop all of Cami and Elisabeth's favorite supplies and office resources. You can do it. bizbirthdaybash.com/favorites.
I'm so excited. I'm about to dial up right now.
Y'all come back now, you hear?